Glory to Jesus Christ. My name is Bishop Nectarios, and today we're going to take a walk through our ancient faith. It's been a minute since I was able to post a video, and I sat there thinking about it because I've been going through some things in my own personal life. Some of them are very sad, some of them are not too bad, some of them are challenging. And it's been a little while since I put out a video, so I wanted to put one out today. And one of the things I wanted to discuss is that, and this comes up fairly often, people attempting to misuse facts, statistics, and science. And in our current society, there is a distrust of science for several reasons. So in our arguments, we naturally want to show why we think the way we do. So we go and we look up some fact or detail that happens to support our thought, or at least we think it does. Usually it's a bit more nuanced than that, but we're not asking scientists, we're just looking at details. And then we use that to attempt to prove that we're right beyond the shadow of a doubt. And in some situations, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But here's the problem. The core of why we start to see a doubt in science is because science is routinely used by companies to support their product and suppress evidence that their products are unhealthy or harmful or bad for the environment. There has been a very, very, very long tradition of science being used to increase the success or profit of people that do not have our best interests in mind. So when a scientist goes forward and they publish data in one of their journals, and then someone reads these things and gets the idea that they're going to use this piece of information without reading the nuances of the study or the types of controls or who did it or who financed that study. They simply take the fact that supports their argument, discount any facts that disagree with their argument, and then they attempt to push these things home as if it was gospel truth. And I think that's in large part why we're so distrustful of science. Science has been wrong about everything it's ever said. That's the beauty of science. It's constantly testing itself. It is challenging its theories, even with settled science. As a matter of fact, when this whole pandemic nonsense was going about, the people who were attempting to peddle the cure to the disease they most likely had a hand in creating were telling us that we needed to trust the science. It's settled science, therefore it's gospel truth. Yet I know people who have a stake either in the engineering or scientific communities, and the ones that I talked to pointed out that there are a number of examples of what is considered settled science being challenged. And there's a good reason why science has been wrong about pretty much everything it's ever said, because it runs tests, it comes up with hypotheses, it challenges theories, it establishes a set of facts based on experiential evidence, and what they can detect, what they can measure, what they can categorize and understand. Science, as I've explained in several of my videos, is the study of the mechanism of creation, whereas theology is the study of the creator. So I do see some scientists who are extremely atheistic, and they come up with this idea that nothing created nothing from nothing, and it makes my head hurt, because the best way I can liken it is from my point of view, the carpenter took the hammer and hammered a nail into the wall. But because you can't measure the existence of God, some scientists, but by no means all, say there is none. And that's like saying the hammer picked itself up and hammered the nail into the wall. And that's the reason why those two disciplines have to stay separate. And that's the point of that kind of tangent, is the idea that theology is the study of the Creator, whereas science is the study of the mechanism of creation. So science has a place in our lives. And the reason why we can trust science is because it is fact-checked, it is researched, it is measured, and it is something that can be reproducible. The problem is that if you write it up a certain way, science can be misused. And I don't want to name specific products. You can go online and actually Google it, and it'll come up with a couple of major examples. And I don't want to end up getting sued anyway by these people, which are still very powerful industries. But for a very long time, they used science to attempt to explain that their product was safe, when in fact it wasn't. And they would run their studies to prove that their product had some sort of benefit, and they would use their financial resources and scientific resources to discount any research that said otherwise, because that would damage the bottom line. So there are a number of powerful people who happen to, strangely enough, have financial ties to the lab in Wuhan. And now the very same people who happen to have strong ties happen to have a vested interest in peddling the cure. Well, it's not really a cure, it's a vaccine. And they ran into resistance because people are saying, wait a minute, so you're telling me that you had a financial investment in the lab that happened to be weaponizing a disease that's been around for a while. As I remember, it hit cattle. I think there's still like a medicine we give to cattle. If someone has some better knowledge of that pre-human COVID, let me know. I just remember reading an article about it. So let me know in the comments if you yourself work with large cattle and you're aware of what I'm talking about. Just so I don't want that to be a misnomer or wrong information. So here we are being told to trust the facts and the science by a group of people that we don't fully trust ourselves, because there is just a strange number of coincidences that make us deeply mistrustful. And so they bring some smiling doctor on board to say what they're saying. And these are the same people, and I'm going to get yelled at already, that during the election had several 100,000 votes come in for one particular political candidate, 100%. Not one person out of all those votes voted for any other political party in the American political spectrum. Now, for those of you who are really good with math, make a comment below what the statistical probability of that is. So, there are people whose character are already considered suspect by the people of the United States at large. Obviously, opinions vary, and everyone has their own take on it. But I'm saying, at large, there is a question. And the way that it was handled by the government didn't alleviate that concern one bit. And now those very same people are peddling a vaccine to a virus that some individuals had financial connections to. And it's beginning to look so deeply suspicious. So can you see from our perspective why we're so very hesitant to trust the science behind these medical issues. And bringing some smiling doctor on board doesn't help because, as I said, over the years, many industries have used um, doctors and science to validate a product that should not have been validated. And now here you are smiling just a little too widely, and we're supposed to take the advice from your doctors and scientists and ignore all the other doctors and scientists who had a counter opinion because they're quacks. Instead of pointing out where the error in their theory went, they just get called quacks or nut jobs or conspiracy theorists. And now there's people are looking at us like you're just a bunch of conspiracy guys. Okay, maybe we're conspiracy theorists, but is it possible that the way that it's being handled is not increasing the confidence of the public in their behavior? Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people will be vaccinated, and the reason being is that humans are tribal and social creatures. Very simply put, many people will get vaccinated just so they'll stop hearing about this and we can get on with life. Doesn't matter if it's right, doesn't matter if it's wrong. People will go with the flow. We've seen this before. This happened just after World War II when they tried to denazify Germany. There were so many people that had went with the flow and refused to believe that atrocities were committed that for a time they had a real difficulty just convincing people that the government in that country committed atrocities. And it's because it's so powerful. The connection that a person has to their tribe, clan, family, country, nation, it's a part of who we are. It's a part of our identity. And we're conditioned from the beginning to help others, to be in service to others, at least in the United States, and to do what is right and civically minded. And I can already hear a few of my people chuckling because they understand that in reality people work because of self-interest most of the time. However, if you can cloak self-interest in civic duty, then you get to feel like you're doing something righteous. So the solution for this is quite simple. We need to politicize. We need to get the politics out of the vaccine completely. Stop smashing us with this vaccine. You simply make it crystal clear. There is a vaccine. It's a matter between you and your doctor. We strongly recommend you take it. The CDC does too. But in the end, it's a matter between you and your doctor. Stop trying to force a country that was created by revolution to obey you. Americans by nature rebel all the time. They may not pick up rifles and shoot, but that doesn't mean they're going to be obedient. Just back off. Leave the American people alone. I've heard so many comments from our politicians exclaiming that we are, one of them called us useful idiots. They don't respect the intelligence of the average person. And indeed, can you blame the people in the ultra-elite positions of authority? You, on the bottom level, live in a vastly different world than they do. It's so different, it seems like a different world. Oh, wow, is it a different world than what the average guy on the street lives? And I'm going to say the vast majority of people talking like lunatics and social faux pas, they come from folks who are a little bit poorer, because we're not that concerned about whether or not we're looking right or sounding right to some other people. I mean, there are those that do, but for the most part, we're just trying to live our life and take care of our families. We don't want to get involved in the drama and the nonsense. We just want to live. Period. Now, let me know what y'all think about this, because this is such a difficult issue. That science has been misused so much in the past that, at least to the eyes of the average human being, there appears to be, at the very least, something shifty going on. We're already distrustful of elite and powerful people to begin with, and then there is the either illusion or reality of people acting shady and getting away with it, and then they get mad at us because we don't simply, quote unquote, follow the settled science. Anyway, as I said, tell me what you think in the comments. Be nice, everybody, especially to each other. This isn't meant to be a war between whether you have been vaxxed or have not been vaxxed. This is a place where you can come to discuss things peacefully and amongst friends. Even if you have wildly different political perspectives, this is a place where you can and should feel safe. So that's it for today. God loves you and I love you. Until our next episode, which will be coming soon and more often as the drama in my life is starting to moderate out a bit. Take care and God bless. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.